right. That's what we believe. We believe we're the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the chosen people. We don't believe Jews are the ones going to the promised land. We don't think Jews are a part of God. No, Jews are nothing but another part of that same race of devil that come out of Europe. Black people are standing up. Black people are rising up, and they're starting right.
We were slaves in Egypt. We belong to the Father, ain't no pledge of allegiance. We both to celebrate that killing that he didn't need you. We both to keep the holy days, don't be like the heathen. He said that for a reason.
Noble Drew Ali's mission is to restore the consciousness, to destroy the mysticism and what is known as mental slavery. He brought back a lot of the ancient lessons from our ancient forefathers, which Europeans also get in their secret societies, listed under a pseudonym of Levi, of Europeans, Masons, etc., and it's called the Aquarian Gospel. That's a fan book that they use to get some of the ancient esoteric teachings from ancient Hindustan, i.e., from which the so-called Jews actually get their philosophy, from the Brahmas of the Mauryan dynasty, Nanda and Gupta dynasties, up in Peru. Up in Peru, that people call Hindustan, that now they call India. And when you go into their anthropological records, and they will tell you themselves, they are Moors. And this is where they get the term Indian, when they started calling us Indians, when they thought they were going to take over this gold and spice trade, trying to get to Hindustan. And actually, Pedro the Moor took them to the Atlantis Islands, and they saw the culture of the people, and they saw statues with feathers on, with old, big, cut rock statues with feathers on, and they called us Indians on this side because they thought they reached India. But actually, we are what? The same people, but we're Moors. And actually, there is no India. That's Hindustan. And its ancient name is Peru. And the ancient Hindustani will tell you, when you present the argument to them, that they know that the Europeans call them Indians too, but they are not Indians, just like we're not Indians. They're Hindustani. And their ancient name is Moors, Mohammedans, i.e. Peru, and that the Moors changed the name about a couple thousand years ago. And that's Peru, etc., etc. And that's where you get the yoga philosophy, hatha yoga and other forms of philosophy that people call today metaphysics, which the ancient ones call actually I, self, law, and master, which is the real science of Islam versus the ritualistic forms that are given to people in these days.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
Of Islam. And I always came up, watching Malcolm and watch how Malcolm dealt with the politics and dealt with the police, and I'm like, man, I want to be like this guy. But even though I was still on the street, but fast forward, got out of it. I was in Sunni Islam, and from Sunni Islam, I came into this knowledge about the Moors because it was a brother that was in my neighborhood. He used to walk around with that fez on his head. They used to call it. We said hats, but it was a fez. Didn't understand what it was. I had one live next door to me. They never talked to us because they was more so on a religious tip. They never really built with the people. So we thought they were a cult like everyone else until I ran across a brother in the market. Me, being in Sunni Islam, having the beard, the kufi, I asked the brother a question. I said, well, brother, what is that on your head? What do you call that? And he said, brother, come to my house. I want to show you something. Now, this is almost 20 years ago. And I was like, what is it? So he was like, brother, he pulled out a book, a regular Webster's dictionary, and it reminded me of what was going on with Malcolm. And he said, I want you to look up this word. And the word was Indian. He said, now I want you to dissect the word. The word was Indian. He said, look up the word Indian, which is indigo. I said, wait a minute. And he said, who you think they're talking about? They're talking about you and I. So I sat with this brother for 3 years. From that point on, slowly but surely, everything started getting cut off. My beard was getting cut off. I took my, we call it jalabia off, took the kufi off, and started, wearing a fez. So I ran across another elder by the brother named Taj Tariq Bey 3 years later. Because it wasn't Brother Taj who brought me in, it was another brother who brought me in. And from there, it was history. Then I was like, yo, our people got to know about this. So I started a newspaper in 2001. 2001, I had a newspaper called Civil Alert. And from there, I started a radio show called Civil Alert in 2003. So I've been on radio for like 15 years. And I said, this information needs to get out to the people. So I would stay in law libraries. I would stay in regular libraries. It was like jumping from one library to the next library. So I would constantly be in law library. That's why you hear me say what I say on the videos. And I've been saying it on radio the same way. I was challenged the politicians. I would challenge the police that would, because we had politicians, police, everybody on our radio show. And I was the outside guy. I was the guy they was trying to figure out, like, who is this dude? What school did he go to? Like, how did he know this? So I would correct people when they would say police brutality. I said, it doesn't exist. It's police terrorism. I would, and show you where that's at and say, if you want justice, let's talk about human rights. So you have to have a nationality to deal with human rights. So all these things came in, the nationality of the Moors. And in Philadelphia, it's a known fact in history that our nationality was taken in 1774. And then in 1779, Negro, black, and color was placed on us. And I'm sitting here saying, well, if I know this, why our politicians, our black leaders don't know this? Why are we still talking about civil rights when Malcolm was talking about human rights? You remember that?
Yes, yes.
Why do you never hear no black leader talk about human rights today?
Yeah.
Do you ever hear them talk about
it?
Never.
No, not in Las Vegas.
You never, nowhere, right?
Anywhere.
You only heard Malcolm talking about it.
Moors.
So,
and what is Moors?
Well, when we say Moor, we talking about, like, somebody said, well, Moor, I heard somebody, I was with Eddie Griffin last night, so one of the security guards said, well, Moor just means black. But that's an adjective to describe something.
Right.
So it's like I'm saying this is a black book, right? But what kind of black book is it? What's the noun? It's a law dictionary. There you go, right? So that's what we're talking about. So at one time, we were called Blackamoor. So what they did is drop the noun and left the adjective there.
Okay.
That's not identifying people. I mean, in the 60s, they said, they said in the 60s, what happened? You called somebody black, what happened?
Oh, you got in the fight.
Thank you very much, right?
Yeah.
You got into a fight. So why is it acceptable today?
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Right. So who said that? So if we are given history, and Noble Drew Ali said, stop using names that dilute to slavery. That's Negro, black, and colored. Okay. So if slavery's over, then why are we still using names that dilute to that? You follow me? So when you read J.A. Rogers' book, he said, in the book, he said we were Ethiopians and Moors before the 1500s. So when do they start our history at? 1600, right? During slavery, right? Like our history started in slavery.
Yeah.
It didn't start in slavery.
It didn't start there.
So even down to listening to Stevie Wonder's soundtrack to Bamboozled. In the soundtrack, he said in 1492, when y'all came upon these shores, 700 years educated by the Moors. This is in the soundtrack to Bamboozled. I'm sitting there like, wow, they're not getting this, man. Somebody's misleading our people. Lost their fight at, and actually, if you look around, you'll see 4 points that represents the 4 cardinal points: your fire, your earth, your air, your water. And also where the Pope is called the Cardinal, but you got 4 ways to go in. North Gate. You got what? The North Gate, West Gate, South Gate, East Gate.
East Gate, West Gate, South Gate. It spells news. And of course, you got your Zodiac, which is Moorish culture, in the middle of the courtyard. In this courtyard, and this building is designed, it's called Ionic and Moorish architecture, designed just like a mosque. And after we go in this area, we're going to go underneath the parapet in the north, which you see right there, and you're going to see that it is the most elaborate of all of the entries. And after the North Gate, you'll see number 1 North Broad Street, the Masonic Lodge, etc. You'll notice also as we walked in the West Gate, because we came in the West Gate, the architecture is in itself generally very elaborate. However, you'll notice the extreme care and detail that's placed in the North Gate. Shakamaksin, that's this territory, is designed just like a mosque. This is the north gate of the mosque. It has a parapet on the top. They have Billy Penn statue at the peak of the parapet, and he's situated 23.5 degrees east by northeast, facing the Great Masonic Lodge right there. And this is where the Mummers Parade ends that they have every year, and they assemble at 6th and Moore Street. As you'll notice, as we walked into the other area, you'll notice that the cornerstone is in an open grave pit. And you recognize that in the North Gate, the pillars are marble and very elaborate, dressed more elaborately than all the other gates. You also know that North America is referred to its cosmological name, the North Gate. And the Europeans who have been administrating over the estate of the Moors refer to themselves as the keepers of the North Gate. And so you turn around, you see the Masonic Lodge. And you'll notice that the entry is absolute and clearly Moorish architecture. They'll have within there cathedrals that they'll show you that are exact duplicates of ancient Moorish cathedrals, etc., and temples. And the filigree work, the detail work, the colors are exact duplications. And when they take you on tours at that Masonic Lodge, one of the first rooms they're going to take you to is the Moorish room. This is where the Europeans took the birthright of the Moors and also began to alter the history. They adopted the Constitution for the United States from Muslim law. John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Thomas Jefferson were all Masons and all deists. Prominent. And he's the husband of Winona, who you will see at the Parkway, at the Eakins Oval, at the base of the Art Museum. And that Art Museum is where, in the movie, Sylvester Stallone as Rocky runs up the steps. And he's considered the patron saint for the Europeans, welcoming the Europeans. And this is the Lenape area too, before the Declaration of Independence. And of course, this area is called Shakamaksin.
Show y'all some history that's right underneath. Everybody knows this. And it's been here. This building been for a long time where the original bank is at.
Yeah.
You look up here. What do you see?
And there's your swastika.
What do you see there? And people walk past here every day.
Yep.
They don't understand that the swastika on this whole building. This building has been around before Hitler was doing what he was doing. So the swastika has been a symbol of good luck and peace. It belongs to us, Ethiopia. Right in here in the center city. Right here. Come on, man. We good. Our history's all around.
Back to who we are. I don't see how you don't see.
You're Lazarus. You're the dry bones. You're the prodigal son. You're the lost sheep. You're the people about whom the Bible is speaking, who will stand up in the last days when the trumpet is sounded.
I shall keep it until the